Hey Joe, it's Folks here. When it comes to making a lot of print-on-demand sales, a lot of people will tell you to focus on choosing great niches or even building an awesome looking store or even making sure that you have a solid social media marketing strategy. But that's false. Here's a post I saw on Facebook, basically someone showing that they have gotten over 24,000 views on some of their products. They've had 278 visits to their actual listings, but they've only made one sale, and it was even to their friend. The main reason people have success with their store isn't any of the things that I talked about before. Whether you're selling on Etsy or if you're building a Shopify store like me, the most important thing is your designs. This is because that is ultimately what people are paying for. Since 2016, I have been selling print-on-demand products, and I have come up with 5 different things that I focus on with my designs. I'm going to share them with you today, and if you stay till the end, I will give you a 6th reason as well, which will also help you to make more profits. If you need help actually making designs or working with a designer or even building a store, I do have a free course. It's called POD for Dummies. Inside are over 30 videos to help you to get started, and there is a link down in the description. Here are 2 designs, both for the fitness niche, both on a t-shirt, and one is awesome and one is not. One is probably going to sell a lot, and the other one probably might get some visits, some views, but not a lot of sales. Or what about these 2 here? They are both posters for the wall, and again, one of them is awesome, one of them is probably not going to sell. And lastly, I have these 2 products here, both for the dog niche, and again, one is awesome, one not so much. I'm doing these comparisons because we're going to use these designs as I take you through the 5 different things that I focus on when I'm trying to make my own designs. The first thing to focus on is making sure that your design has a great graphic inside of it. Let's go back to these 2 fitness t-shirts here. You can see that one has an awesome graphic and the other is basically using clip art. If you are using only clip art in your designs, ultimately you're probably not going to make a lot of sales. I'm not saying that in all cases you cannot use clip art, but in most cases you're going to want to focus on vectors or even illustrations. If you're not a designer and you need illustrations, you could work with a designer. As I mentioned before, I do have a free course linked down below where I have videos about actually working with a designer. One of my favorite tools though for getting great graphics is called Kittl. They are a design platform. We're actually going to use one of their AI tools today to generate a graphic for a design. If you want to get a great deal on a Kittl account, I do have a 25% discount code that I will put in the pinned comment of this video. To get to their AI tool, up at the top here, we can just hover over Tools and then click on AI Image Generator. On this screen, you can read a little bit about what you can do with this. They have a lot of really awesome styles. You can have things with no backgrounds. You can also have things with backgrounds. Or if you create something with a background, they also have an AI background remover tool that you could use. On the left-hand side here, you can describe what sort of image you want it to make. And sometimes this will take a couple of different attempts. For the sake of this video, I typed in an image of a retro pixelated gaming character lifting weights with rays of light behind him. The face of the character is happy. Ultimately, I'm just trying to create some sort of a fitness design that has a cool look to it, so I said to make it retro and pixelated. Down below here, we can choose some styles of the actual image. For the sake of this video, I'm going to select this one right here. From here, we would simply just click Generate. This is the graphic that Kittl actually came up with. You can see though that this does have a gray background behind it. Over on the right-hand side, we're just going to click on the AI background remover and we're going to take the gray background out. What we are left with now is a PNG file with no background of our pixelated gaming graphic. Ultimately, this design here is done in a similar way. Obviously, this graphic that we just created would just be the graphic portion of this design, but now we have a great graphic that we can use as the base of really any design that we're looking to create. The second thing about these designs is the actual text and the message inside of it, meaning what the text actually says. Normally, I do not sell t-shirts. I'm using them as a reference in this video, so even if you're not using t-shirts on your store, you could still apply everything I'm talking about. When it comes to text, you want to make sure that you avoid a Microsoft Word look. Basically, what I'm saying is you want to choose great fonts. You can see with these 2 examples that they have done that. The second thing is you want to make sure that you have great text effects on your actual fonts, meaning you don't want it to just look flat on the shirt. You could use different shadows or even a distressed look. The point is to make the text actually stand out. When it comes to finding a great message for the actual design, we can use Kittl AI again. They also have a quote generator tool which will allow you to basically input your niche, choose how long you want the quote to be, and it will come up with it in seconds. They have a whole bunch of different niches that you can choose from from the list, I'm just going to experiment by typing in gaming and fitness together because that's kind of the theme of the design that we're currently making. On the next screen, you can choose the mood of the actual quote that's being generated. I'm going to leave it on funny. I'm also going to leave it on 2 to 4 words. You can see here some of the quotes that Kittle AI has generated. You can basically go through and continue to do this. You can change the length of the quote as well. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of a different spin on one of these quotes. I think the loading idea is a cool concept. This quote here says loading abs. I'm just going to say muscles loading or muscles in progress or something like that. Obviously as well, when you're actually coming up with a quote for your design, you're going to want to spend some time on it. In this video today, I'm quickly just sort of demonstrating some principles that I typically think of when it comes to making designs, so I'm not going to be spending a ton of time actually coming up with a great quote. Back inside of Kittle, we can select the text tool and we can choose from a bunch of preloaded styles. Inside of here, I'm going to select this gradient style here, and then they have one in here called Miami that I'm going to use for the design, mainly because it kind of has a retro vibe to it. Once it loads in there, you can easily move it around. You can double click it and begin changing what it actually says. I'm going to type the word muscles, M-U-S-C-L-E-S, like that, and then also going to edit the size so that way our text is about the same width as our actual graphic. I also then used Kittle AI to add in the text loading and a loading bar down below. With this actual image as well, I changed some of the colors to sort of match the scheme that is currently in the design. Obviously, this design would probably need some more working out to actually be a bestseller, no pun intended, but ultimately what I'm trying to show you here is some different concepts of design, mainly the graphics, the text, the styles, and the messaging. The next thing with the design that you want to focus on is especially important if you are getting away from selling t-shirts. We're going to be using these two designs here as a reference. This one over here is a poster with a white background for the drinking niche, and then over here we have another design, same niche, but it is obviously much better. That is because the design has a great aesthetic. Yes, there is graphics in it, and yes, there is a great message and also a good font, but you can see that there are some intangible things with the actual design. What I'm talking about is the design's aesthetic. This is achieved through the background that's being used, the texture that is around the text. There is also a border on the actual canvas that makes it look like wood. Ultimately, those are things that you want to think about to make your design have a nice look to it. Another thing about these two designs is something that I see a lot of beginners make mistakes with. The one right here that just has the white background is a design that someone created where they just took some text and some clip art and basically just threw it on the canvas. This sort of leads us to our next focus for making great designs, is the fact that you want to make designs specifically for the product they are being sold on. You don't want to just create a white canvas like this, or even white tote bags or white shoes or white leggings or whatever it is you are selling. You want to make designs specifically for the product they're being sold on. These two dog shoes, again, are perfect examples of that. One of them is just a red pair of shoes. It has a graphic on the side, and then the other one has a great aesthetic to it. It's been made specifically for the pair of shoes. You can see wrapping around the back, there is a nice floral pattern. On the top, they have strategically placed the dog bone with the dog mom text, and ultimately the design looks much better because they've designed it specifically for a pair of shoes. The next thing we're going to talk about actually has nothing to do with how your design is actually created, but it has something to do with how it is presented. For the sake of this part of the video, we're going to be talking about great mock-ups for your designs. I'm here inside of Placeit. If you haven't heard of them, it's an awesome mock-up services. Yes, they have tons of different t-shirts. They also have an entire print-on-demand category, everything from bags to coffee mugs and drinkware, home decor, phone cases, and a lot more. Down in the pinned comment of this video, I'm going to put a link to an exclusive offer that Placeit created for my subscribers. If you want to get 15% off a Placeit account, I will have a link down there for you. The link will allow you to create unlimited mockups inside of Placeit. It gives you the discount on both their monthly and their annual plans. For the sake of this part of the video, we're going to use the design we created earlier. I'm going to type in gym, and we're going to search all of the gym relevant mockups that Placeit actually has. You can basically type in your niche and find a lot of really great mockups that sort of match the niche that you're selling to. For the sake of this video, we're going to use this mockup here. To edit the mockup and get our design on it, all we need to do is click edit. Once you're here, you can actually change the color of the shirt. You can basically come up with any color that you want. For the sake of this, we're just going to leave it as black, and then we need to actually upload our design file. You can do that by simply clicking download up here. Once Once you get your design file in, which I've exported from Kittl, you can move it around. You'll see down in the corner a preview of it. You're going to want to place it in a similar position to what you've done with your print-on-demand supplier. You can see here I did upload the design in Printify, and not that this mockup is bad. I actually think this is a pretty nice flat lay mockup, but if we're trying to advertise the product or if we want to highlight it in a great way, using a mockup that is coming from Placeit could really help us to stand out. I'm going to just sort of move this around, maybe make it a little bit smaller. It seems a little bit large in the preview, and ultimately when we get it to where we want it, we can simply click on crop down below. The design will then load in and we'll have an awesome mockup that matches our niche. To download and use this mockup, you would just click the purple download button and you would get a high resolution file of your design on the product you're selling. On the right hand side here, you will see some different options for your design. You can see it's already preloaded into these other mockups. If you wanted to click through them, they would load up and you'd be able to see how your design actually looks. Obviously, you'd want to change the shirt color again. I'm going to change it to black, and you can see that our design is now here. If we wanted to make the design a little bit larger, we could, ultimately, just to get it to look good on the actual mockup. That there is probably a little bit too large. We'll make it a little bit smaller, and ultimately now I think that looks very nice. As I mentioned before, down in the pinned comment of this video, there is a special offer from Placeit. So far, we've talked about a lot that goes into a design, and as I said at the beginning, I do have another way that you can make great designs, and this one will also help you to sometimes make more profits. To sort of illustrate this, we're going to use these two canvases here. Again, for the drinking niche, this one over here is kind of basic. It's just on the white background. This one here has a great aesthetic to it. But what we could also do is we could personalize the design. Take a look at this one here. It's the same niche. It has a great aesthetic, awesome graphics, and also a good font choice on the design, but it is personalized. You can see on the design that they are allowing the person to put their name there, so it says Brian's Bar, and then down below they also have a custom date. Adding personalization into your design is not 100% necessary, but depending on your niche and depending on what you're doing with your design or your product choice, personalization could definitely help you to make more sales and also help you to make more in profits. I do have some other videos on my channel where I talk about what I personally do with personalization, so if you want to learn more about how to make that happen, definitely make sure to check those out. Also, inside of my free course that I mentioned earlier as well, I discuss personalization there. Hopefully today's video has been helpful. I was basically prompted to make it after I saw this post here. Again, someone talking about getting almost 25,000 views on their designs, 278 visits to their actual listings, but not making any sales. Yes, they did say that they made one sale, but that one was to a friend, so it ultimately doesn't really count. What I'm hoping today's video does is helps you to make better designs, and like I said at the beginning, if you need to work with a designer on this, don't be afraid to do so. Hiring a designer is not as expensive or as difficult as you might think. Personally, I do make the majority of my designs because I've been doing graphic design for over 20 years. However, I have outsourced a lot of design work since I started my first store. So ultimately, give it a shot if you want to see if a designer could help you to make great designs. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today, please let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.